Hello and welcome to my world of crochet. My name is Dina and today I'm here with you for another yarn talk video. And as you know, we cannot really talk yarn without me having my faithful mug of tea, which today here is the Earl Grey Citrus from Pickwick's line Joy of Tea. So that's basically like a lovely standard Earl Grey with a flavor added of a citrus into it. So yeah, it's a really nice and comfy good tea. But yeah, so what's been up since last week? I've done quite some work and I've also been busy with work, and I received a few things which I've also been busy with handling, and everything has just been a bit busy the last week. It happens, it's all right. That's just how life is. But I have actually finished an item. So the item I finished, I wish it was my shawl, but it's not. The item I finished is another beanie, and I used the Hobby Umami yarn for this beanie, and here is the final result. And it's just regular charcoal gray colored. I should have the yarn label somewhere, though I don't have it here next to me right now. But yeah, so there wasn't anything fancy about this beanie. It was just started as we start many of our beanies with a magic ring. And then I worked in 12 double crochets in that magic ring. And in those 12 double crochets, I worked in 2 double crochet in each double crochet, so that it went from 12 to 24. And then I added 2 double crochets and then a double crochet, 2 double crochets, double crochet, etc. In each stitch. So alternating with working in 2 double crochets in a stitch and then just 1 double crochet. So the count of stitches was to 36. And if I do remember right, at 36, because this is a pretty bulky yarn, I just started working the rounds and I added about 7 or 8 rounds to finish up this beanie. I worked with a crochet hook here of 10 millimeters, so it is a really, really bulky yarn. Yarn content wise, I do believe it's, don't kill me for it, but it's pretty close. 25% wool and 75% premium acrylic, and it feels really nice actually. I do like it. Don't laugh at me, but I will take it on just for you to show and see. And here we go. That would be it. I was wondering, because I do have some yarn left, but that I did not choose to do that. This is about what I have left of the skein, which is like maybe 2 rounds at best. I was wondering on working in extra rounds so people could like fold up the brim and have it like double layered here. But again, that would have been max 2 rounds. Would that have been worth it? Though I think it's better if it's a bit more, so you can like kind of double layer the ears. And then I wouldn't have had enough yarn. Then I'm back at, I could maybe have had, because I do have some tweed of the color, which I haven't used, which is the same yarn. It's just a tweed version. And in the end, I decided just to option for the short version and then maybe hold over the yarn. Just in case I get more of it or something like that, then I can make a, I don't know, striped beanie or something like that. Bit unsure what I will be using the leftovers for. People say that you can do pom-poms and the like, and I totally agree, that's definitely an option too. But at the moment, I think I'd rather just see if I somehow can combine it for another beanie. And it could also be that I have different yarns of similar contents that I would just need to double thread or triple thread to get the same thickness. And then I can still make a striped version beanie. That's a thought for now. So yeah, that was this beanie with the umami yarn, and as mentioned, this is what I have left, and it looks like it's a lot, but it works up really, really quickly, and it is a bit fluffy. So like when I really fold it up, it's not that much, because with bulky yarns, they also They work up pretty quickly, but it also means that the yarns run out quicker, obviously. It's a lot quicker to work up 100 meters of bulky yarn than it is to work up 100 meters of fine yarns. That was it for that account, and I do have, of course, other projects running. I am still working on my baby blanket, and I did have time to work further on it the past week. It's a bit turned into my eternal project kind of thing, but that's simply to do that right now I mainly crochet on this when I watch television and it's not too warm to do it, because else I'll pick a lighter project to work with. And it's simply due to it feels like sitting with a blanket on when I'm working with it, and on these somewhat warmer summer days it's just too warm to work with, and that's completely fine. You know, I don't have a deadline for it. I don't have an intended receiver for it either. I'm just working on it, and once I'm done I will probably be blocking it and I will stash it away until I know somebody who's gonna have a baby girl, and I will give that blanket to them, or I might sell it, who knows. Haven't really decided what I'm gonna do with it, but it's a project that's nice to make because then I know I can make it and things like that. It's an easy stitch to work with, and I've actually been considering making a similar blanket from one of the color train changing yarns. So a thinner yarn in, like, let's say the big muffin cakes from Stanley, because they are so long, so they can make a really decent sized blanket. And some of their color changes are really, really gorgeous. I have this light orange, peachy orange to white, and I think that could be absolutely gorgeous for a baby blanket, like starting with the darker colors on the inside and then going lighter and lighter. Again, that would be a new eternal project if I would start on that one, because that would take like forever. But the blanket itself, right now folded up and forth. I will have to find my working end, just a moment. Of course, it's always opposite where I'm starting. That's classic. I have some ends I need to weave in because I did work on this, those ends. So that was when I was adding this new yarn. Is still not completely 2 rounds ago, so I'm still not 100% sure that everything is perfect. They worked in the round of the shell stitch here. You can see it here. And then I just made the preparation for the next round shell stitch on top. Once I've done completely through the full round and know it's all right, then I'll weave in the ends. I learned my mistakes by, if I make a mistake, which is within the distance that I would need to unravel or frog, on make, then it's better not to weave in the ends until you are enough past that you know that you will not need to weave in the ends, if that makes any sense. And let's see, I need to flip this around because that's fitting how I work around. So green is where my current loop is. So if I want to continue working on it, I will have to grab this one, and I will have to, as last time I reached here, which was before I made the new round preparation of the shell stitches. So I finished the shell stitches because this is the start of the round. So I finished the shell stitches, which is like not even half a round, not even half a side. And then I worked in the preparation for the shell stitches for the next round, which is the V stitches and then chain 5 and a V stitch and chain 5 and a V stitch and chain 5. And now I'm working in the shells, and those I made like 5 shells. So, and I'm ready to proceed. Making the round of V stitches is quicker than making the round of shell stitches, yet it just takes time. And this is simply as simple as set, because the project increases in size. Let's see if I can hold it up. But let's just firstly say I'm using my 4.5mm prim crochet hook for this. It does make a little bit of a squeaky sound when I'm working in acrylics with them. I like them because they are long shafted, but I have actually debated on using a different crochet hook maybe. again, because of the acrylic and the squeaky sound, but also partially I have the feeling that it sometimes goes less smooth on this piece of the hook, that the shaft is not as smooth as some of the others I have, or I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I was wondering maybe using soft touch hooks for it from Clover, or yeah. Using this 100% acrylic yarn from Ice. This is a 150 gram pull skein. And it has, as you can see here, these nice extra glitters. And you can also see that in the blanket itself. So if I hold it up like this, you can see it's getting pretty large. It's far from its intended size, but I found my measurement, and I found actually that I have a measurement tape where there is also inches. So for those that uses inches, I will try to figure out how big this is at the moment and give them to you in inches as well. We are at 76 centimeters. So that's about 30 inches. I want to get the blanket to like a meter-ish before I add the border of 3-4 rows pink. And that should be about 39-ish inches, 39.5 maybe. And how wide is 1, 2, 3 rows is about 3 centimeters. So it could be that I stop before the meter, so at 38, and then do the 3 rows before adding. I don't know yet, because let's see, how much is a meter? Can't even show it. This is the inches side you're seeing, but I have a little bit to go. Rather, this is the distance I still have to go in diameter, which is like 10 inches from where I really want to ideally get. So I don't know when this project will be done, and that's cool. It's just this project that's so easy to work on when I'm watching television. And we all need an easy project to work on once in a while. Can even be an easy project for a good meeting. And once I get started on my Leafy shawl tutorial, I think this blanket will even be left more a bit on the back burner, because I really want to get this tutorial done. We have been talking about it so often that I think it's really time, desperately time, to get started on it. And I have everything ready to start on it. Now, my worst fear is that the yarn will still be too dark for my equipment, even though it doesn't look dark at all. And then I'll just probably have to make the best of it and hope that it's visible. And, you know, in worst case, out in the future, I can always remake it, I guess. But that's not something that I'm going to worry too much about right now. But let's now, when we are talking about this Leafy shawl, talk about the progress I've made on it. And I made the progress of 3 added rows, which again is not a lot. And I will explain that to you when you see my cardigan vest that I'm working on. I have about 60 odd-ish grams left of this cake, which is the cake that I'm using for it. And it's getting a bit difficult, but I almost barely only have the very light lime left here inside. I have a bit like this, about this thick still left of the multicolored. As you can see, when we look up, you can see it's kind of striped in the color, still lightly striped. Here you can easier see it. I don't have that many rows to go actually, so I should kind of hurry up and just focus on getting this done, because then I can get it blocked. And then it's kind of like done, less worries. In the beginning, I really thought that I might end up finishing up the yarn that I used for the tutorial first and this one, but apparently life wanted it differently, because then it was too dark and my equipment wasn't good enough to record it probably with the color choices I've made. And I also wanted to improve some of my recording equipment regardless. So I went ahead and bought whatever was needed, basically. An investment and trying to help you guys here on YouTube, of course. So here we are. You can't barely see it all, but here we are. And you can see that the new rows that I'm working on has added this lighter row again. It is gorgeous and very lacy. You can easier see it here at the end where I am having it, that this last 3 rows are lighter. I don't know even if that's duly visible, but it's becoming a really gorgeous one. The thing is with this particular pattern is that the last 2 rounds I'm gonna make is a little bit different again, and that's simply to edge it up nicely. And therefore right now, every time I make a row, I basically keep really good track of this. So I know approximately where I am row wise and how much yarn I do have left to make that finishing edge. Because of course it needs to look nice in the end. It's not just like, of course, a lot of it was like trial and error, and whatever happens, I'm fine. But at the same time, I still want to make a nice and decent looking project. And I am pretty satisfied with it. I still need to weave in the starting end here. But except for that, I'm pretty satisfied. It looks pretty great. I think it will look even greater once it's blocked. And I'm looking forward to show you the final result. But again, I still have quite some yardage to go before I'm completely finished. So quite some repeats. I assess currently I probably have 6-7 more repeats to go, plus the 2 edges. So maybe 10 in total, maybe a bit less, 8 to 10 approximately in total, hopefully, then I'll be done. It's gonna come closer on that. And that is a heck lot of crocheting, I can tell you. I am using my 3mm crochet hook for this. I started out with my 3mm crochet hook from Prim. Prim does squeak a bit when there is no wool content in the yarn. But I found this Prim soft touch, not Prim, the Clover soft touch hook here is working butterly smooth through the yarn. I really enjoy working with this hook, except for the fact that I still find it short. We talked about it a few times. I am a pencil grip holder and I really wish it was too here. I do enjoy the fact it's so lightweight. And it has this rubber pad, which is both good for the pencil holder because I can keep my thumb here. But also if you do the pencil way, you also have a place for your thumb. So it's kind of a friendly crochet hook for both grip type holders. Except I do believe many of us will find that it would be nicer if the shaft was just a tiny bit longer. But I don't think Prim is necessarily going to make longer shafts because I request them. Who knows, maybe one day I might end up designing my own version of them. Or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, such is life. So just in a moment, I am going to explain what I've been doing with my Oasis Cadigan. So just moving a bit to the side here to better explain what I've been doing. So first let's talk about the yarn, then let's talk about the rest. So I'm using this drop baby merino, and it's a very lovely soft donut yarn, nicely wound up. A pleasure to work with. A slightly tendency of splitty, depending on what you're trying to do. but generally a pleasure to work with. I'm using my 3.5mm crochet prim hook for this. It's woolen, so it works really great with the crochet hooks because yeah, it's 100% merino wool. It's a fine weight yarn, so it's a sport weight yarn. They classified yarn group 8, and they do normally recommend a 3mm crochet hook, but this pattern called for 3.5. Or actually it's knitting needles, 3mm knitting needles, but crochet hooks you also usually you size up a little bit compared to the knitting needles requested. This ball is 50 grams, so that's about 1.8 ounces or 1.75 ounces. That gives you 175 meters, so that's 191 yards. And it's 100% merino wool, so it's lovely to work with. It's superwash treated, which means that you can actually wash it in the washing machine. Do not wash it at more than 40 degrees, so that's 104 Fahrenheit. Lay flat to dry, you can iron it, you can dry clean it, don't towel it right, don't bleach. And when you do that, soap and stuff like that, don't use too much, be gentle and stuff. So it is a gentle treat product, but it can handle stuff compared to what you normally would expect. And it is really, really, like, I can definitely wear this against my skin. And I am not one that's that keen on wool. I do work with wool. I have no issues working with wool. I'm not allergic to wool or anything like that. Thank you for the love of my blessedness. That I'm not allergic to it. But if it's a scratchy wool, I will not wear it to my skin. In that sense, I am sensitive. But when it's soft and nice, I don't mind. I was working on this Oasis shawl, and actually the project that I worked on, I haven't progressed on the one I worked on because, or I have, no I haven't, have I? Oh, I haven't finished the round. Why didn't I do that? Because I wasn't sure if I had enough yarn to finish the round, because I only have this much left. And then I was reading the pattern again, and I found that I had made a mistake. Not a mistake that's harmful as such to the project, but a mistake where I could gain a lot of working speed by not doing that. So, and that's simply what happened is simply you don't read through things well enough. I done it again. So this is, basically, I think I only added 1 or 2 more rounds since you saw this one last time, and then I stopped. And I spoke with my mom, and I was like, I can't really get myself to unravel all this to redo it without knowing if it's gonna be nicer if I do it. Because that's painful. That's a lot of hours of work I spent on this. I spent really a lot of time. So what I am doing, and what I am doing wrong this, is that when I'm working in these spaces here, I am working in the double crochets in the chain itself, in the chain stitches themselves. So this is like chain 2, double crochet in chain 2, double crochet, but actually I could just work in those double crochet in the spaces. But it was really unclear when I was looking at the diagram. It looked at the diagram that some of these double crochets really sat in the stitches themselves. So I thought, oh goodness, I need to work them into the stitches themselves. But there are places such as here where it's really difficult to see due to how the round kind of overlaps. And that has on top, because when you start the round, it's very clear, it says, we need to make these fans, and the round start in a fan, which is here. Let me just remove the stitch marker, because then you might be able to easier see it. So that's a fan. But the thing is, this is a chain 3, and that's a part of the fan. And that starts where I slip stitch it into from the previous round. But it does make this sort of extra gap here, because a fan is 3 double crochet work together. But the start is a chain 3 and then 2 double crochets work together, and that creates this sort of, and you can see it all the way down here. It has this extra gap where, opposed to here, it's a row of fans. You can see they're just nicely worked in. So the 3 double crochets work together, chain 2, 3 double crochets work together, and they're worked into the previous space of the previous fan. But you don't get really that experience here. It's a little bit funky. And therefore, the space gap between the last chain 2, before you start working the gap, gets a kind of smaller and it gets a bit funky. So you can see it here. If you really look here, let's take this one, because that's kind of similar. You don't have that. And that's annoyed me. And actually it's annoyed me kind of since round 2 or 3 or something like that. But I was like, okay, that's probably how the pattern is, because that's how the pattern is written. And then I thought, okay, point 1, we have me working into the chains, which takes more time because I'm really fiddling getting the stitches into the chain stitches. And then that takes more time to complete than it does to just work them into the space. Obviously, because you need less fiddly time, you can just poke in the crochet hook in the space, drop the loop, and, you know, continue on your work. Where when you work them into the stitches, you're like, yeah, it has to be, and then you're like looking for it and stuff like that. So work speed wise, it's a huge improvement. And then I thought I could also slip stitch to that next gap, because it's just a single slip stitch I need to do, and then I might actually remove some of this feeling of this minor gap. So that's what I did. And I can tell you, so I've been working for this for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 maybe. Yes, because the first week I finished pattern A almost, and then I had to unravel because I found a mistake, and then I made it again plus a bit, and then I made this plus a bit, that's 3. And then meanwhile I haven't worked on this, because after I talked with my mom, I was like, I have an idea, because I have 11 balls of this yarn. I am going to just take a ball and start over, and if I like that better, I can unravel the other. If I don't, then I need to unravel what I just did. But then I don't unravel for nothing if it turns out to be nothing. So that's the benefit of having extra balls. So that's basically what I did. This is the new. I have not yet sewn in this end. Why? Same reason that I have explained to you with the baby blanket. I'm trying to find out not to do it until I'm 100% satisfied with what I did, because it's going to be such a mess to try to unravel something where you sew in the ends, and I tend to sometimes sew in the ends over past areas. It's been a mess before, so I learned my mistake for not doing that. I have not reached as far with this one. I am just started on pattern A through A3. I have done the first, let me see, 3 rounds of that. So I have a few rounds to go, but this up here is the starting round. So blue indicates the last chain space 2 before the end of my round. So after this blue, I will chain stitch into the shell, and then I will start a new round. So this is basically the first, right now where I am here, the first chain of the first shell of the new round. So this is how this version looks, and this is also how it looks when it's all just the double crochets are worked into the chain spaces. So as you can see, while the chain space here still seems like a smaller gap, I have less of a gap between my chain 3 and my two double crochet shells until it's worked into the full shell. So I think I like that more. So that's at least one positive thing, where here you can see there's a clear sort of 2 small space gaps, where here it's just 1. And that's simply because the chain 3 shells, they do budge a bit, like it's almost feeling like a chain 2 to create it would have been enough or sufficient. but I am following the pattern. Almost. Because right now I just slip stitch it into that purse shell, and I do just one slip stitch to get the chain that starts the next shell stitch and starts the next round more centered. That's the only difference that I'm doing. I think it looks better. It's difficult to see, of course, because it's difficult to hold up both projects at the same time. I will try. Not sure if I can display it equally well. No, because then you need to see the kind of the same sides towards you, don't you? Can't even display it. But this is the old. I need to turn it around again. This is the new. I think the new looks better, and the benefit, of course, at least I think, yeah, I think it does. It does look better. The benefit is it works up quicker, and with all the projects I have in mind, and the very little notable difference you can see, I think this is absolutely worth working with it like I just started and think about it. What I have done here in this past week, I needed 2 weeks for this one. Of course, there's different amount of times available, but half of this I did in a meeting that I had at work where I did not need to be on there screen-wise. I just need to be there and be mentally present. And when you have started on this, it goes pretty quickly, especially when I don't need to search for those stitches. So I actually ended up doing that for like, it was a really efficient way of doing it. So I think it makes most sense doing it like that. What do you think? Sorry, just got disturbed for a minute there. But yeah, so I think I will keep and stick to the somewhat quicker way of working up this. And considering the fact it is following the pattern a slight bit more, with the only exception of this chain, single chain that I do. You can barely see it actually. So this is basically, right, I do slip stitch it in there and then I chain there. Like, it's just a single one to keep it a little bit more collected and look a bit more cleaner. That's the only difference that I do, and then that's completely actually following the pattern. So I think I will stick to that method because it works up quicker, and yeah, that's desirable, to be honest, and it still looks pretty good, I would say. So yeah, and I'm happy I did it like this, because what if it's not look great? Then I would really be annoyed that I had unraveled a bunch of work that I would like to have kept. So I'm pretty happy I optioned for this to figure it out. But that's it for all the stuff that I made. Yeah, I am just working on this diagram right now, and I have reached to here. That's it. And then once I'm done with that, I will probably slowly have to prepare for arms and stuff like that. It's worked in the round. We'll take all that next time when I get a bit closer to where I am with this one. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this yarn talk video this time around. It was a pleasure catching up with you, and let's just quickly go through the planned schedule for the coming week. That is that on Thursday, I will be drawing the winner from my tweet giveaway. If you haven't watched that giveaway video and you would like to win some awesome tweet yarn and a Stanley vegan cake, check in that giveaway video. I've linked to it in the description box here down below, so you can go and watch it and enter it. Do please watch that video in full, as you always help supporting me. And yeah, then so next to the giveaway, then on Friday, normally I have yarn hauls on Friday, but this week, Friday, I have a Happy Mail unboxing. I received a Happy Mail last week Friday, and the generous gifter allowed me to record it as a Happy Mail receivement and share it with you guys here on YouTube. So that's what I've done. It was a very generous person, and I was really, really overwhelmed with what I received. I'm impressed with what she had been able to stuff into that parcel. So that's a Happy Mail unboxing, and it's from America. So I get my hands on some American yarns, and that really, really made me happy. And I'm excited for you guys to watch that unboxing. Next week, Monday, I will be back with a new yarn talk video for you guys. And who knows, there can always be the chance of a bonus somewhere hidden. But that's the current plan for the coming week. I wish you a great week ahead, and happy crafting, happy crocheting, happy knitting. Stay safe and healthy, and until I see you again, take care. Bye.